Today, we're going to paint a self-portrait using value dabs. This is how to simplify a face, so let's get started. Today, we're going to paint a self-portrait, which will show you how to paint a head, at least the strategy by which I paint heads, which is always going from darks to lights. But what I wanted to preface this with saying is there are some really good resources, and I put them at the beginning of this video, which is about to start in a second. But I also wanted to say, don't beat yourself up ahead of time. And this is what I mean by that. Be really careful about which photographs you choose. I find working 3/4 view works about the best. 3/4 view and eye level. In other words, look at my face right now. I'm looking directly at you like a mug shot. You're not going to get as much information as you will when I go like this. There's more information. See, there's more planes of the face that you can deal with. So, and I also ask for that when I ask people for pet portraits. I always ask for a 3/4 view, so you get the snout. It's very hard, much harder to get a good, for me, to get a good portrait when it's straight on. The other thing to be mindful of is this. I'm going to put this up. This is a picture of Tom. I'm going to put it in really close. Okay, this kind of photograph is just not going to work. And the reason this photograph won't work is not because he isn't adorable and wonderful, but because, see how there's no information? So when I get a photograph like this, or if I take a photograph like this, I can't find any value shapes in there. Everything, you can see the eyes, you can see the glasses, you can see his hair. But other than that, there's no other information I can get. Also, it's looking directly at the person. So this just isn't going to work. If possible, use a photograph that has natural light. Something, light coming in from a window or one light source. And I have never been successful at working from a photoshopped photograph. I cannot find value shapes in a photoshopped photograph. So imperfections, I embrace them. They're really helpful for painting. And that's true whether it's a dog or it's a person. The other thing is, just whenever you can, forget that you're painting a person. Just forget about it, because it's no different than painting a flower or anything else. Just look at value shape, value shape, value shape, value shape. Value shape color, value shape color, value shape color. Just if you can get in that headspace. The other thing that I've done sometimes is I will turn something upside down, and paint upside down, just because that allows me not to think about individual features. I don't have to do that much anymore, because I do tend to think in terms of value shape. All right, so those were just some things that I forgot to mention when I did the demo, and the demo's coming up right now. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, see you in 1 second. Bye-bye. All right, if you tuned into this channel for any period of time, you know that I like to simplify shapes and use as few strokes as possible. That being said, this is a great resource, Drawing the Head and Hands by Andrew Loomis. This is going to show you the proportions and the planes of a face and how to simplify them. And here's one of the illustrations from the book. Now, this is the view I like to do a portrait from whenever I can, 3/4 view. And it doesn't matter if it's a dog or a human being. I get the most information from 3/4 view and about at the same eye level as I am. You see, it's very different if the face is tilted to the up or down, or, because it's an orb. And I don't want to deal with ellipses and all that. I like to keep things as simple as I can. So I preface that with saying all of that. All right, now it's time for value shapes. Here we go. I always start with my darkest darks first, and that's what's going in right now. I've done a lot of mixing on the side. I've already mixed all of my skin tones on the side, and they're in discrete puddles. But what I'm doing is putting in the darkest darks. Now, the dark in the hair was equally as dark as that blue that I put in there. So, like I said, even though these are different colors, I'm putting in my darks. I'm squinting and looking only for the dark shapes, because I'm going to build from there. I'm on 140-pound paper, which is Arches, and it is cold press. And again, the glasses, I didn't check with a value dab, but I know that that's going to be a dark as well. Everything that's going in, even though they're different colors, they are darks. Things just shifted. Now I've shifted into midtones. From now on, according to my strategy of painting, anything that goes in from now on, if I stick with my value plan, is that anything that goes in has to be lighter than any of the darks that I already put in. So that is what I need to match. I need to match every color that I do now to that to that red patch. So this still fits within midtones. Now the reason why this is still a midtone, that sort of brownish color, is because if I held up the value finder to check to see, and it wasn't the same as the red, that's true, but it was not as dark as that blue. So I'm sticking with my plan. Nothing can be as dark as the blue or any other colors that I put in already. As long as that's established, then I'm in the midtone area, leaving the white to the paper white. So I've got a variety of colors. You know, my sign off is always mass for value, mix for color. So I've got a lot of colors on the side that are midtones that are kind of in the red range. Some have orange in them, some have rose in them, because I'm a fairly pale person. So now, like I said, I'm squinting, I'm ignoring anything that's dark, and I'm just looking at anything that's mid-toned. And I'm using a variety of colors to fill in those midtones. And I look at the midtones and I establish which are the darkest midtones, put those in first, squint again, find any value shapes that are lighter than that, and then I'll apply a red with a little bit of orange in it because it's just slightly lighter. Squint again and look for anything that's lighter than what I've already put in. Again, the only rule is it can't be as dark as any of the darks I've already put in. Right now I'm dealing with the hair, and I've checked again. I've checked to make sure that nothing is as dark as anything that I've already put in. And this gray matches with the brown I already put in, so it still fits within the rules. It may not be the same value as the reds that I've put in, but it's not as dark as my darkest darks, and that's the only rule that I really have to pay attention to. So take care of the hair, and then I'll come back and take care of the rest of the skin. So I'm looking at value, I'm looking at shape, value, shape, value, shape, value, shape all the time. Now I'm squinted again. This is an orange, which is going to be lighter than any of the reds I already put in. I'm looking for any shapes that are lighter than the reds I've already put in. Again, just looking at shape. I mean, I could be painting this upside down. I don't look at the nose. I don't look at the mouth. I'm not saying to myself, oh, you know, what does that eye look like? What does that cheek look like? None of that. I'm just completely in the other side of my brain, which is just about value and shape relationships. I don't make any value judgments other than that. And if I stick to that, just like a jigsaw puzzle, this thing will start to come together. So putting in still some midtones in the hair. There goes the scarf. Now, surprisingly, you would think that that scarf is dark, but it's not. Through the value finder, it's the exact same value as the reds that are in the face. But I'm going to change that later. And now, once again, I've squinted and looked at what is lighter than the orange I put in. And I put some water into a rose, and I'm applying that. So it's almost, I'm not layering, I'm putting colors near each other. They're next to each other, and I'm using a big brush, and I'm not scrubbing in any way. I'm just letting those colors meet each other. And I let the eye do the rest of the work. And here comes the shirt. Now I should say the shirt or the sweater is a neutral. I mix all my neutrals from colors I've already used so that the whole thing is sort of cohesive. And even though those value dabs on the left, you know, there are a few of them there, but I used many more colors than that in the actual painting. There was a time when I used to put a value dab down for absolutely every decision that I made. I don't need to do that anymore because I have a good sense of value now, thank goodness. But some of my paintings used to have many, I don't know, I want to say like 20 value dabs or something like that. I don't need to do that anymore. And I didn't hold up the value finder a lot of the time. That's that red plexiglass window just to check to make sure that my squinting and my value finder matched in terms of interpreting the color, just because I've gotten better at being able to see value and color. Now it's time for the background. And I know people always ask about backgrounds, and what I know is when a face is mostly orange or red, which is what this face is, it's kind of a good idea to put a complementary color behind it. But again, I've mixed this from colors I've already used, so I don't go to a new tube of paint and bring out a color, because that would look, it just wouldn't go. It wouldn't look like part of this painting. So this is already colors that I've used in the painting. Only I've mixed, so it would have been the blues that I already used in the painting along with any of the yellows or oranges as well. Those are all incorporated in there. There we go. And I'm using a big brush for this because I don't want to get precious now, I've done a good job of using individual strokes to describe what I want to do. So I sure don't want to start licking the paper now. Licking is when you go dab, 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 and you start to scrub. I don't want to scrub. I want to lay the paint in about the consistency of gravy and just let it mix and mingle with each other and be watercolored. You know, watercolor wants to go toward itself. So pretty close to the end, but then I realized there's a couple of things to do. There are always some fun finishing touches. You know, you walk away, clean your water, clean your palette, and you come back and you'll see things that you didn't see before. There are a couple adjustments that I needed to make there, nothing major, of course. And I decided that I wanted the neutral of the sweater to be a little bit darker as well. No, for no other reason than I didn't feel like I had as strong a value range as I like to have. If possible, in a painting, I like to have a strong value range, all the way from, you know, say a dark value of 10 to the value of white, which is number 1. And I did leave the whites of the paper white in this case. You can just see them on the face. I think that's, and a little bit in the hair, but that's the only place I left the whites of the paper white. So I hope this is helpful to you. It really helps to know the planes of the face, which I learned from the Loomis book. So when there's information that I'm not sure about, then I can know, for example, where a cheek goes in and where an eye socket is, or where a chin will dip in before meeting the lips. There are certain things that you just can kind of know from anatomy, but I still keep things really, really simple as simple as I can, and just concentrate on value and shape. So you see the different value dabs on the right, on the left, and that's what I incorporated into my picture overall. I used a variety of brushes. This is a round brush, which I'm bringing in at the very end for no other reason than the sensitivity. You know, there's a certain sensitivity I can feel in a round brush that I don't feel in a flat. So, so that's one example of how to paint a portrait. I'm not telling anybody else how they should do it. I'm just saying systematically this works for me. I am not someone who was born with a lot of talent. I just wasn't born with it. So I have to develop strategy so that I can get to my goals. And that's what I've done, developed a strategy that takes me from darks to lights, and I can accomplish what I want to accomplish. So remember to keep the whites of your paper white, your paints wet, mask for value, mix for color. Please join my YouTube channel. And if you have any questions, I'll make videos about them, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye-bye.